All right, all right. How you guys doing today? Gonna wait and get some people in here. Been some cool articles going around, videos and articles about our friend Alita. So hopefully some good news is coming soon. And I'll tell you some of my perspective from the stuff that I've done on the first film. But welcome. We're trying to get this chat going. This is unable to connect to chat. Let's see what's going on here. Stream health is good. Are you guys able to chat? Are you able to hear me? I guess you wouldn't be able to even tell me. So usually some people roll in here pretty fast, so I don't want to restart this stream. How would I reconnect to chat again? All right, maybe there's some technicals going on here. If anyone's usually Mike and Mark are in here pretty fast, so if you guys drop me a message as soon as you can, try to make sure that the chat is working. If it's not working, send me a message on Facebook, and I might have to. I don't know if I have to restart the live stream or what I'm going to have to do. But let me know. And I have my Facebook is open. So if you guys send me a message on there if you're not able to get the chat to work on your side. And we'll hopefully try and figure that out pretty fast. So it is, what is today? Today's Tuesday. It is September. It is the 24th. The 23rd, there's some cool stuff I saw yesterday. And I have to make sure to give credit where credit is due. I saw this clip was on, I don't want to mess up her name. Let me find it. So this is someone that I know and I've seen through the Alita. Okay, is chat working? Okay, are you posting? Because I'm not seeing any chats on my side. So this is someone that I've seen through the Alita pages, and this is someone who is, I think, dropped in on a couple of these events, and she is over on YouTube, or he, I'm not sure. It's Star of Elyon. Star of Elyon. It's ELYON. And so he or she posted a pretty good interview with James Cameron from, I'm not really sure how long ago, but it does talk about quite a bit of his involvement with the film and what he had done with Robert Rodriguez and how they had started working together. Now, so as far as I know, like the story still is that Guillermo del Toro is the one who gave the initial mangas to James Cameron way back, and James Cameron, I guess, showed a lot of interest in that. And from there, I know he did production art, and he did a script that was at one time 180 pages. Started meeting with Robert Rodriguez. Robert Rodriguez did trim. Streamlined the script down to, I think it was 121 or somewhere around in there, 119 pages. And then they just decided to go for it, and they started shooting. I mean, when you're James Cameron, who had at the time had made the most profitable films of all times, when you say go, everyone's just going to go ahead and go. So there's no magic there. I think the problem is now is it's not owned by, I don't know if it's owned by James Cameron anymore, because we know Disney owns 20th Century Fox. But my feeling is this is probably the IP for Alita. Most likely would have to be owned by, I guess, Lightstorm, his production group, or he might have some other kind of group um, that buys the scripts. I wouldn't know what the name of that would be, but I would think that is where the script lies, and the IP is going to stay with Cameron, because 20th Century Fox would be acting as the distributor, I would suspect. So I don't know how much they own the IP to make films with Alita and Alita related characters and all that other stuff. So if you guys are, I can't see any of the chat, so I don't know if you guys are chatting. So Mark, you're gonna have to let me know if you see the chat on your end. I don't know if I need to refresh. I don't know what happens when I refresh. Let's see what happens. You're chatting. I don't see anything. Let's see what happens. Oh, okay, here we go. I just had to refresh on my end. Thank you, guys. Check, check, check. Avon Hunt and Mark, howdy. Howdy, and happy Texas Day for us Texans. So that was the latest thing I saw. Was the thing I was just discussing is that so his involvement with Avatar doesn't seem like it would actually stop him from rolling out more Alita films if he wants to. And like I said, what I think is that 20th Century Fox would just be acting as a distributor. So I don't think they would own the rights to the IP to the film, the Alita or Alita characters. So therefore, 20th Century Fox would not be able to determine whether or not more films get made. They would be able to determine whether or not they're going to do anything with them. And I don't know if they would have been locked in a deal to get like a first right of refusal or something. It's just ice. It's just ice for a baby. I don't know if you guys can hear the kid is really down with ice right now, which is really awesome. Hey, what's up, Rob? So that's what I suspect. I suspect that if he wanted to do more films, he'd be able to do them, and that worst case scenario, 20th Century Fox would just decide that they don't want to be involved, and it's not going to stop him from doing them, because why would he had Lightstorm Entertainment? Why would they have given the rights to all the Alita IP to 20th Century Fox? That doesn't make sense, except for to have them do this distribution. So that's my take on it. So do I think there's going to be more films? Definitely. I think there's going to be more films because there's like a rabid fan base, and I see it every day. I was, when we were working on the film, it was pretty hard to tell what was going on as far as like what the expectations were, or the level of excitement. We worked really hard for a really long time, so it's not like I spent a lot of time on YouTube and reading reviews or reading set reports or any of that other kind of stuff, because I was just doing other stuff at the time. So, but from what I can tell, there is some stuff gearing up, and that's all I can say about it. There's stuff gearing up, and yeah. Alita, I don't know if it's made money or not, because you can't figure out what the budget of the film was. And the budget doesn't necessarily include tax breaks, which is something that Odin movie blog, Mr. Odin over there, like broke it down and has done more research than I have. But you have a budget and you spend X amount of dollars, then New Zealand, I believe, so I think Weta gets, I guess, money back, and that would count off the cost of the film. And Texas has some kinds of tax breaks, so then you get tax breaks back from the state of Texas, so that would come off the budget of the film. But that stuff doesn't happen until like way after the film is out, where you actually see the numbers, you know, because for them to figure out the budget, that all has to be settled. Then there has to be the tax breaks. So what you see like in Wiki, if it says like 250 million or 170 million or whatever, Enigma Seeker, I don't know, but I definitely want to. I've been looking at a lot of different Alita videos. I just watched a really good one today, and I don't know if that was yours or not. But I just joined some other channels. But please, you know, I don't know like what YouTube protocol is, but if you can share the link in the chat, I don't have a problem with that. I don't know if you can do that, but I would love to hear more about what your thoughts are on Alita. So I don't know if I've seen you on the chat before, and I don't know how many of my videos that you may have watched or not watched, but my background is mostly costume designer, long time Star Wars science fiction fan. Born in 1968, so I got to see like all the Star Wars when they first came out. When I grew up, I was introduced to Ultraman and Speed Racer and Gotchaman and a bunch of cool stuff when I was growing up. That was Japanese. So fast forward, now I work in the film business, and so I worked on Alita in the costume department probably for I think it was a year, if not maybe more. Also played Exploder in the film. I did a lot of the background costumes under the watchful eye of Nina Proctor, who was the main costume designer. And then my other company, Junker Designs, made the Hugo Jacket. And so there's a link below where you can enter the contest, where we're going to give one of those away. So that's just my background, and I wish I could watch your videos and then, I could watch your videos and then make another video tomorrow. I believe that a lot of cool stuff is going to happen still with these films, and I think it all has to do with the way the fan base is, and to think that James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez are not aware what goes on online would be like kind of like foolhardy and foolish. And I think that's why it's a whole other story about how you may or may not be able to work at Disney, depending on what you say online. But it's pretty typical for most companies to see like what you say online, what's going on online, and because that's really where the conversations are. Is all happening on YouTube, and I don't really know if they look at Twitter because that's like a battlefield. But I think watching intelligent content, whether it's like positive, negative, and then seeing the amount of people responding to it is something that studios watch very, very, very closely. And it's even been theorized that the new Star Wars film has 12 different endings, and it's mostly based on what they think is going to happen with the excitement from the fan base that they can kind of gauge by looking at mostly YouTube. So it's almost like they're crafting a film via groupthink or whatever, or by I don't know, can't think of the expression right now. They're running it by the jury of their peers, like via YouTube, and using people at their studio to kind of see, take the temperature of YouTube and use that to craft films, which I think is completely and utterly ass backwards. I don't think that it's going to be advantageous at all to how, well, not at all. I mean, I think that's why you have test screenings, yeah. You should have diverse groups of people in your test screenings to gauge your audience. I don't know if you should listen to a diverse amount of people Hey Bonnie talking on YouTube, and then try to figure out how you should end your film. And in fact, it's so unbelievably sad that what's happened with all the Star Wars stuff. Um, and of course, the big difference between Star Wars and Alita, you could argue, is that Alita had source material that was pretty much laid out. And so what James Cameron and Robert Rodriguez did is basically, instead of just taking like the first volume of Alita, they took parts of the first volume and I think the second and third, because really Motoball doesn't show up till later in the books. But I think it was a really, really good choice, is that James Cameron knew that if it wasn't featured and he only did do one film, that it would be like a really lost, a lost opportunity to show like all that destruction. And those scenes are really, I think, done really well. I was a little worried that, depending on the tone of the film when it came out, that it might be kind of comedic or played for laughs or something. It was kind of hard to figure what the style of the film was exactly going to be, but the script, seemed like it was really serious, but it still could have been like kind of, I just didn't really know. And you have to understand, when they're filming all those scenes, when I was filming my exploder scenes, we're just we're just getting body scanned by Weta. And then we do a small amount of scenes, and then they're crafting everything in the computer. So any of the stuff that I did, I had mostly no idea, actually, what I was doing. I knew that I was gonna roll out, and we were gonna, have a big fight. And then when I was in my my makeup and everything for the locker scene, I knew what that was. But most of those characters were in gray suits, so I didn't really know what they were going to look like. I know what the production art looked like because it was in our office. And then the part where I'm firing my arm cannon, I knew what was going on because the special effects. God, was it the special effects director? What was his name? Richard. He's like an older dude, but really cool guy. You have to understand. For me, this is a dream come true, to play like a cyborg or a robot in a movie. You get to wear some prosthetics, and knowing that I was going to be like a machine. This is like a childhood dream come true. And I've been really into films for a really, a long time, and a lot of it, my interest is the special effects and what happens behind the scenes. So when Richard comes up and flips out his laptop and shows me the pre-vis, the pre-visual, visualizations and animations of what my guy is going to do, and I was just like, awesome, man, I got it. And then Robert and I talked really quickly. Oh boy, yeah, Zach. Let me get into that in 1 second. Oh man, I actually had to leave a quote on. I left a. Let me just finish the story. I'll get right back to that. It's so unbelievably messed up. So, it was a dream of mine to be involved in Alita, and a dream to be in a film playing a robot. I got to do all that. You don't know what's going to happen, so you don't know the exact tone of the film for a lot of the characters, because the parts that you actually film are so small. You have no idea what the rest of the stuff is going to be like. And even the scenes where they're fighting on the moon, or the longer battles with Garushka and stuff like that, it was just like not. That's mostly all CGI, so you don't know how the fight scenes are going to come out. But I thought it turned out really good. I was blown away. I saw it in 3D one time, which I'm not a big fan of 3D. And then I saw it at another theater in Houston, and it was called XD or something. which, if you picture, uh, it's got a screen here, and then it doesn't bend, but it also has two screens on the side here. And so what they do, like for instance, when there's a big, like kind of, big scenic shot, for instance, when Dr. Ito is going to the junkyard to look for parts, they stretch that whole scene, so like you feel like you're in the junkyard. And they did that like a few times through the film, but it's mostly just kind of a gag, and it's projected flat, and then flat. So it is what it is. But so my takeaway on the Alita news before we get into Star Wars, which I'm more than happy to talk about Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I still have on my Star Wars shirt from yesterday because I don't know, man. I was talking about snipers yesterday, and then I had a bunch of crazy dreams and didn't sleep very well. Then went to the gym, and now it's already 2 in the afternoon, and I don't know what happened. But so my takeaways from Alita, to wrap it up, based on some of the stuff that I'm hearing online, and then kind of buzz around, from other sources, that my feeling is really good. They can knock a couple more out, and I hope that's what happens. And so Zach is mentioning some news that I just found out about this news this morning. I was watching Geeks and Gamers Jeremy, because that guy's always blasting Star Wars, so I'm always interested in seeing what's going on. Oh look, even this is Star Wars. I can't help it. I grew up on that stuff. It's and for people who are not maybe as old as I am, I'm not. I mean, it's in your DNA if you grew up on the on the prequels too. To me, it has to do with that magical age where I was 7 or 8, and when you see Star Wars at 7 or 8 years old, you're forever changed. Like your mental, I think they talk about you want to have mental real estate. Whenever you develop an IP, you're trying to find a place that no one else has, some mental real estate that no one else has, to create something that kind of has a look that's not quite like anything else, so you can occupy some kind of territory that's not like anything else. And for me, when I saw Star Wars, I was just like, what is this? It was complete joy, to see it. And I was really blown away. And the first thing that happened when I left Star Wars was I wanted to go see Star Wars again. So I know the first film I think I saw 27 times in the movie theater. And then Empire Strikes Back, I think I saw like 12. And then Return of the Jedi, I think I saw three or four times. But anyway, to get to Zach's point, so there's a book that Bob Iger, Igor, whatever you want to call this guy, Iger, sorry, put out, and and you also have to wonder, what is the reason that Bob Iger would even put this information in his book. So let's just get straight to that point. So the way I understand it, and this is from what I heard at Geeks and Gamers, was that so they, Disney bought Star Wars. They gave him $8 billion or some kind of crazy amount of money. They bought Star Wars. They also then Bob Iger gave George Lucas money, bought the outlines for what he thought the next 3 films could be. With an agreement, he said that this was a purchase of that she is God, I'm really losing track. So I'm sorry, my guy's actually texting me from the office in LA too. So I always have to answer these because someone's coming to pick up stuff for a film. Let me just make sure there's no updates there. I really appreciate you guys hanging out. Well, I also do business. This is probably like one of the top 10 no-nos, like for being a streamer or whatever. But hey, hopefully I'll offer you guys something different, which is like a stuttering, coffee drinking Texas guy who works on films and makes stuff. A little bit different than some of these other guys. I think I do have a pretty unique, weird kind of story. But yeah, I work on films, which so it means I really love films. Um, uh, there's a stylist in LA that's going to pull some clothes from the Junker office that's in Los Angeles, and so I have to coordinate between her and one of my employees. So I can't let the deal go. I can't not have her be able to get inside the building because it's always weird to get inside the building there. But anyway, so Zach brought up the point of the Bob Iger book, which he even says they purchased the outline from George Lucas for the next 3 films. He claims that it was pretty clear that, hey, we're making a purchase. We'd love to hear your ideas. We're excited to work with you, kind of stuff, and that there was no promises to George Lucas that they were going to use any part of this outline. All right, so like that's his part of the story, as it may be. Then if you also picture, because I try to then immediately I thought about, okay, also there's a point where you see that horrible Kathleen Kennedy video where she tells George Lucas to his face that we're going to do nothing but we want to honor these characters. And so you have to understand that in Hollywood there's like this kind of group speak that goes on there about like, oh hey, let's unbox these problems. Let's take a look at that. Let's honor the characters and their story. And it's like a really kind of a mono-linguistic business speak that is I don't get it. I don't like that stuff when it applies to business. I don't like that stuff when it applies to I haven't drank since 1984. I was in Alcoholics Anonymous for a long time. There was a group speak language kind of intertwined that it just starts to feel really disingenuous. Like everyone's talking the same. That's weird. Like I don't want to talk about unboxing things. I don't want to. Oh, does that make sense? Does that make sense to you? And I'm like, when you say that, does that make sense to me? You're insinuating in a way that I have no common sense because you're talking to me about probably not astrophysics or foreign languages that I don't understand. So we're probably talking about simple concepts. So there's these kinds of things that exist. This speak, and there's also like set speak that goes on, and I understand it's a way to kind of like keep everything, some kind of regimen going, but it's creepy. I think it's creepy. So to imagine, George Lucas getting the speech from Kathleen Kennedy where she's like, it's such an honor, we're gonna carry the stories of these very, valuable characters on into the future for generations and really honor these characters. So he gets that from one side, and then he gets Bob Iger from the other side, giving him some money for his outlines. That then, without thinking, Bob Iger goes to meet George Lucas up in, I guess, Lucasfilm, brings J.J. Abrams and some other guy. And so this is like for The Force Awakens. They're having like a meeting. And J.J. Abrams then pitches this idea to George Lucas that has absolutely nothing to do with George Lucas's outlines. And so you wonder why George Lucas is freaking mad. And so if I had to think about who I was going to believe, I would believe George Lucas, that he probably didn't understand that they weren't using his outline to at least base something on. If you say something to someone like, "Yeah, we're really open to ideas," um, in Hollywood speak, I believe that means, yeah, you're really open and you can say whatever you want. We're just not going to do anything you fucking say. So forget it. You know, that was a little pat on the head money. We have your outline. Fuck off down the street, whatever. Get out. You're out of touch or whatever. I can't imagine like the Kathleen Kennedy and then the Bob Iger thing. Yeah, well, sure, George Lucas is freaking mad. Um, Talk about being like disrespected. The thing is, like, I'm not a fan of the prequels at all. I think they look like garbage. They look like Xbox. Not a fan at all. And the thing is, the thing that happened that was also brought up somewhere in one of these chats, and I can't remember. I do watch a lot of content, and I don't sleep well sometimes, so I do watch a lot of content. But if you think about George Lucas, was in film school with uh, brilliant minds. All came out of the film school in California that he went to. So it was him and the Godfather director. Why can I not think of it? Francis Ford Coppola. So those guys were kind of together. Spielberg was kind of around, but I believe that was Spielberg was around. So anyway, these guys all were young dudes. So George Lucas's student film was the THX film, and so if you get the THX DVD right now, you can see that one. And then 20th Century Fox, I believe, said, we'll give you some money. You can make it into a film, like a feature-length film, not a student film. Because everyone that saw the student film was like blown away. I think Steven Spielberg even saw it too, and he was just like, this guy's out of control. Like, who is this guy? Anyone who saw it was like really blown away. And the first film, the student film, is pretty good. The release that most people know about, with is it Robert Duvall? Man, I better have this right. Let me look this up because this is I'm not really a great retainer of tons of details. So let's look at THX. It's a bald guy. I know that. It's a man who's follically challenged. Yeah, Robert Duvall. See, I was right. I was right anyway. Robert Duvall, Maggie McInerney was that awesome other actress. I don't know if she ever did anything after that. And Donald Pleasance. Can't forget Donald Pleasance. And Sid Haig. Rest in peace. Sid Haig was in THX. So, George Lucas filmed that, and luckily they got access to the I think it's called the BART. BART was under construction, so they got to use the big concrete hallways and stuff. So when you see him climbing up out of his captive world, going into the wasteland, he's really laying down flat, crawling on the floor, and they just flip the camera around. So I mean, all stuff like that always blows me away. I mean, my belief is suspended really easily. So he did that film. He did American Graffiti because he was like a hot rod guy. He like got in a bad car wreck too because he was racing cars. And Star Wars. And so, I think Star Wars almost killed him. And they didn't want to give him any money really. I think they gave him $10 million or something. To do Star Wars. I heard like the crew was laughing at him in England because like, what's a giant dog doing walking around? What's a dog Yeti thing? And there's robots, and I heard it didn't get a lot of respect. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. It's something I read. And then the thing explodes, and it's it's everywhere. It's completely insane. It takes over everything, and then I think very wisely he let someone else direct the next two films. Irvin Kershner, who directed me in RoboCop 2, I got to meet very briefly, um, and for a lot of people, Empire Strikes Back is just the film. It's really hard for me to pick between Star Wars or Empire Strikes Back. It just like flip flops back and forth. It's really hard to really choose one. Return of the Jedi, I thought was maybe I gotta watch it again. I think eventually when I found out that it could have been Wookiees instead of Ewoks, I was just like kind of disappointed. And also by then I figured out that Jawa equals Ugnaught equals Ewok. That there was like this, oh hey, wait a minute, they're trying to make money off like making sure there's small, cute, little creatures in all their films. So I was starting to get a little bit suspicious of what was going on with that kind of thing. Rightfully so, I would say. I mean, the Ewoks make not a lot of sense, but it is what it is. Still, you get the Emperor, you get a lot of other awesome stuff. So the reason I'm not a prequel fan, I don't know. I think he just should let someone else direct it. Anyway, he's created this amazing sensation. There's just not ever going to be an IP like it, and then it's been literally dismantled and destroyed in like 4 years by just it's unbelievable. If anyone was like in business school, they would just look like, hey, here's what you don't do. Whatever you do, don't do what these people just did with this IP and this film franchise. I think that, and everyone's got opinions, so everyone on here can disagree. I love to hear what you think, what your opinions are on the Alita stuff and the Star Wars stuff. But make sure to at least like this video, and make sure to subscribe, and make sure to leave some comments when it goes up. And my homework is I'm going to check out Enigma Seeker. Apparently has some videos that I can go research, and then maybe you and I can talk further, because I got the a little bit of an insider view, but a lot of other people are a lot more aware of like the number crunching and the stuff with the actual numbers as far as like what it made and then what it could have got back as tax breaks, and then what's the DVD sale, what's the Blu-ray sale, and all that other stuff, which all plays into it. But I still think, at the end of the day, when we're talking about Alita, James Cameron could take it out as soft money and make another Alita film if he so desired. I don't know who or what company would decide not to distribute James Cameron related film product, but the world's super weird right now, in the United States especially. So back to the Lucas thing. So the long story is, yeah, I heard what happened. They did George Lucas wrong, like really wrong. And if it wasn't buying the script, I think saying to his face how Kathleen Kennedy's gonna honor these characters, and then they totally like, first film Han Solo's out of there. Second film, Luke Skywalker's done. I heard in the third film they're gonna kill Chewbacca, so I'm out. I'm not watching Chewbacca get killed. There's no way. I know in the expanded universe he's already dead, but you know what? I'm not into the expanded universe. I do have a very narrow view of Star Wars that makes me happy, and it's based on the films, not the animated series. And God bless you, Anna, Star Wars girl. tried to get me on Clone Wars and some other stuff. Man, I'm trying. It just doesn't hook me in at all, and I don't know why. I think because, for me still Star Wars is it's a film with actors. It's never been animated. I mean, I can excuse the Star Wars special because we got to see Boba Fett in animated form, but that wouldn't be my preferred viewing. I wouldn't prefer to see Star Wars cartoons. In fact, I don't like to see Star Wars cartoons at all. That may change. I have a young kid that I'll let her see all that stuff when she's a little bit older. Maybe she'll like it. Maybe then I'll get into it. And we'll see. We still have the failure of I guess Galaxy's Edge and the coming of The Mandalorian, and then Cassian Andor, I think, is getting a series on Disney, which no one the thing that I don't think these big companies seem to understand for the most part, like prequels are mostly useless. I think the prequels in Star Wars, it was cool. You got to see oh yeah, Obi Kenobi did a bunch of stuff. That's cool. You got to see some really bad actor as a young Darth Vader. Then you got to see Hayden Christensen as I don't know, dude. I just can't. I'm sorry, I can't get into. Just can't get into those. Mostly because there was that Darth Vader thing. It seems like when you, which is the opposite of yes. So it's like the opposite of Home Alone, but then you put it in a Star Wars film, and then you make supposedly one of the most badass Sith Lords ever, then do it. So you might as well put like Macaulay Culkin in a black dress and have him say yes, like all covered in like shitty burn latex makeup or something. It was so bad, and the CGI was so terrible. That's the first time I got my heart broken by Star Wars. Second time was the Luke Skywalker fiasco. Like you can let Force Awakens kind of pass as I guess I was kind of in denial, and I just said, okay, I get it. It's pretty much nothing new. You're kind of introducing these characters to maybe kids who haven't seen them before. Learning a little bit about Rey. I mean, it could have gone probably pretty good, except for then there was the Last Jedi. So, oh boy, what a disaster! What a disaster. Yeah. Being a Star Wars nut is like, let me think what I can try to relate it to. My girlfriend is Terminator crazy, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. And then other people I know are like Freddy Krueger crazy, and I don't get that either. Freddy Krueger is stupid. A wisecracking guy in like a Kurt Cobain sweater, kind of with crappy makeup on. Yeah, I don't get it, but I just know it just has to do with when you're born. So like, I don't hold it against anybody. I just don't. I don't get it. I don't freaking like that stuff. I would have to say if the movie I've seen the most is probably is it Terminator 2 with Robert Patrick? I've seen that like more than a few times. I've seen RoboCop a bunch of times. That was a really great film for me. I like that better than Terminator, I think, because RoboCop was kind of ultra violent, and Paul Verhoeven, that director, is a nut. So if you don't know Verhoeven films, like, he's just badass. They do like Soldier of Orange, Starship Troopers, Total Recall, RoboCop, Hollow Man, which is actually really good with Kevin Bacon. And I'm sure there's a host more. I think he did the Did he do the one where Sharon Stone almost showed her the JJ? I don't really remember. Oh, a new Matrix movie. That's what everybody wants right now. Yeah, I can tell. Um, I would say if it's done by the Wachowski brothers or sisters, that no, nope, that's gonna be shit. And even if it's someone doing like a soft reboot or something, why, why? We've already kind of, we've already been there. I hate to even say that. Well, yeah, we've already seen those films, right? I don't know where else you go. I mean, didn't they all like vaporize into the cyberspace or some crap? I mean, even if you put Keanu Reeves in there, I don't think I wouldn't do it. I'd rather just see some more John Wick films. Like at this point, you know, Keanu Reeves is I think as old as I am. And he's it feels like he's peaking right now, which is amazing. He's been doing film work forever, so I guess he would have peaked with what uh, the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure maybe was the first time, and then Matrix, and then now he's John Wick. He's also one of the main characters in Cyberpunk 2077. It's also rumored that he's going to be part of the new Star Wars Old Republic related films. Uh, wow. Oh, really? It is and Carrie Ann Moss. Well, Mark, you know, we'll see. I like Keanu Reeves like a lot. When you find out like how he lives as a person, um, seems like a really cool guy. Been through a ton of shit. Doesn't seem like an asshole. Um, I don't know. It's definitely like one of those persons that you love to meet one day. Yeah, the video game is called Cyberpunk 2077. That's by a Polish company that previously did Witcher or The Witcher, which I believe is based on a book, and it's third person, so I had to pass on it. I tried to play it. I really wanted to. It looked really great. I just can't get into games that are third person. I always get like trapped in the corner and end up like stabbing myself in the neck and shooting myself in the nuts or something. So I have to have first person is just the way that I like to do it. I wouldn't say a video game nut because I'm not on video games all the time, but I just have like a certain amount. Like I started on Grand Theft Auto way back. Played a couple of those. Then I think it was a what's it called? Red Faction. Red Faction. It was like a Mars one. Pretty much now it's just like Fallout 4 and Skyrim, and then neither of those I've even finished because then like I get a film job and then I'm on that stuff for a while. There is a really good video game if you haven't checked it out. I think it's by another Polish developer called The Observer, and you can see Rutger Hauer is doing all the voice work, and he's basically like a detective, and it's I would say it's more of a it's not a shooting game. It's more like a puzzle detective game, and it's set in I would say pretty much a Blade Runner kind of universe. The departments are all rotting and disgusting, but there's like you know kind of like weird cyberspace like energy shit on the walls and all kinds of cords and stuff going on, and people are into weird drugs and tattoos and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, the apocalyptic stuff. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it just depends when you're born. So mostly, I think today has been talking about well, Alita, and then a lot about Star Wars. So if you guys want to talk about anything else, we can talk about that. Like I have to say, I not into Point Break. I know a lot of people. I think that's another time sensitive movie for people. And when I saw the first Mad Max film, I was just like, all right, whatever, because it was on cable, like when I grew up, and it was cool. I liked like the car wrecks and I liked just that. I would just want to watch just the action parts. But then like the Road Warrior was the one. I mean that thing was action packed. Uh, yeah, yeah, had all the cool extra characters. Humongous. I mean, come on, Road Warrior. It's got to be the one. Then Beyond Thunderdome, just was a really, really, really commercial one. I mean, when you put Tina Turner in there, and then you get like a top 10 hit out of it. It just, I felt like it had like kind of peaked, and then it came back around. And the new Mad Max is great. I wish they just put Mel Gibson back in there personally. Tom Hardy is, I don't know, sure. Charlize Theron, sure. I don't know. I don't really like her very much. She's seems like she's kind of a B. Um, I'm not, you know, you, it seems like once you see her in Monster, hold on, I'm gonna have to take this. I'll be right back. Hello? Cool. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye. All right. So other stuff you probably should never do on a live stream, but hey, that was the stylist in LA. She was picking up some clothes, so it's business. So I have to try and make sure and get this stuff going. Can't tell you anything about the film, but just hopefully there's going to be more Junker on the big screen. And it's on unaltered forms, which is really, really cool. Yeah, so I get the two confused. So Mark is talking about ex Mechana or Machina. So you guys have to help me out. I get these two confused. Is that the one where the guy goes to the underground lair, or is that the one with Antonio Banderas? Because the one that I really, really like is the one with Antonio Banderas. So if anyone wants to look that up, I'm going to try to look it up right now too. And I appreciate you guys like dealing with this is I guess how the live streams are going to be. Crap happens live. I have to answer the phone sometimes. It's just yeah, third Mad Max was a little weird. With the weird kids and all that other stuff. So I think X Mechana or Machina. I feel like that's the one with the robots in the underground lair with the scientist, and the guy goes in there to do an interview, right? And then, yeah, that's guy that had the big stick on his back with the kind of like the Oni mask, Japanese Oni mask. Um, so the one with Antonio Banderas, and I can't remember the name off the top of my head, is the one that I've watched many times, and I really like that film. I thought it was done really well. When you see the behind the scenes and how they did everything, it was like they were basically like puppets. The robots were basically like puppets, and so I think the less CGI there is, like for me, kind of the better. Like CGI is really good, I think, at environments, and it's good at spaceships, and it's pretty good at robots. But mm, I think it's mostly better for scenic and spaceships. Non-organic stuff. Which leads me to think about another film. I think it's called Mother. I don't know if you guys saw that. It's on Netflix. I think that is a Weta designed robot, and there's a pretty good tested episode about that, or 2 or 3 tested episodes about the design and construction of this robot. They basically used every trick that they possibly could. It was an actor in a suit. It looks really good. It's about this girl that's kind of manipulated by this mother style robot that tries to keep her in this in kind of like this underground lair. Automata, yeah, really good. So Zach's saying I started really young. My dad got me this computer that I think he's stored somewhere, but I first played Duke Nukem. Oh man. Okay, dude, man, I did play Duke Nukem at one time, and then Wolfenstein. Well, I mean, disappointing now, but I remember the first Wolfenstein. I couldn't believe it that there was video games with monsters and Germans and Nazis and stuff. I thought it was freaking crazy. So yeah, I did actually go through the Wolfenstein stuff. Actually, there was another good one that I played that was third person that I managed to get through. It's called Blood Rain, and that was you were also fighting Nazis, but you were like this badass girl that was also a vampire. So you could do these crazy flips and stuff and land behind people, and then like bite into their neck and blood would be spraying out. It was pretty good stuff. Really like that one a lot. But now, like as far as video games, if we're kind of on video games and robot movies right now. The video game I think I was talking about before I got the phone call is called Observer, and I believe it's a Polish developer, and I'm going to try to look it up right now. And that is Rutger Hauer, and it's like a mystery, murder mystery type of film, video game. I mean, and the Observer video game. Here it is. I just want to. So this is pretty much how I run my life. Like if there's something, Blood Rain is awesome. If there's something I want to know, I just look it up. So that's how this live stream is going to go. I don't want to give you guys bad information because I can remember some stuff, but not all things, obviously. So this is. I'm not going to bother to do all the fancy stuff. So, it probably looks fucking horrible. Well, it looks horrible on the phone. Anyway, that's the Observer. Okay, so Observer is a psychological horror video game developed by Bloober Team and published by Asper. It was originally released for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One on the 15th of August 2017. So not that old. I thought it was a little bit older than that. Observer follows Daniel Lazarski, a detective known as an observer who can hack people's minds as a method of interrogation and employ augmented vision to investigate his surroundings. So, I thought it was pretty good. It was. I was really hoping I was going to get like a blaster eventually, but you just don't. So. You just don't. So the weird thing I would like to figure out, and I actually met someone who works on video games here in Austin that I could bother about, is like why has there not been an Alien or Blade Runner game that's worth a crap? It really seems like they could have pulled that off. I mean, if anyone was suckered and bought Colonial Marines, which I had for... What's up, chicken? What's up, chicken? Oh, she's got her lightsaber out. Must be in business. Suckered into that Colonial Marines. That was god awful. And the premise would have been awesome. And I guess you guys could disagree with me because we did get the what was the Alien one that came out that you can't beat, which I don't know if that's something either that's that great. What was the new what was the new Alien video game that came out? Someone help me out on that one, or I'm gonna look it up too. Oh yeah, Alien Oscillation. Thanks, Check. Yeah, that's what I was just trying to remember. Okay, let me ask you this then. But can you beat it though? Like I was getting my butt kicked, man. Like I barely got through anything. I was stuck like in the weird luggage area, and then there were some androids, and then I went into a bar. Then I tried to hide in the floor, and then I just I don't know if I just suck at that kind of video game or what happened, but man, I just never really got through that one. Never really got through that one. But the Colonial Marines was a real disappointment. But I think I have to agree if we're going to talk about something that actually has the feel of Alien, then Alien Isolation is super awesome. I don't know if that developer has anything else planned, but if they would make one where you actually had a chance, half of a chance, or something, then I'd probably be down. I was just getting, getting all the information. So there is some new people in here. Flamethrower. Okay. Yeah, like it's probably worth a revisit. And thanks, man. Like I do need some new stuff to check out. I started watching last night as I went down the rabbit hole about some more Red Dead Redemption 2, hidden artifacts and weird places that you could visit on the Red Dead Redemption map, and it looked pretty crazy. Like there was alien spaceships, there's flying saucers, there's ghosts, there's Ghost Train, there's Ghost in the Swamp, all kinds of stuff. And so I think the thing I like about that is you get third or first person. Once again, I'm doing a live stream and answering questions from the office in LA. I know it sounds a lot more probably like than it is. It's just answering some questions to a stylist who's working on the film. So as you guys, there's been a bunch of Alien games. I remember playing a super crappy Alien game way back when. Maybe check 11.7 knows. There was one I feel like I must have been on PlayStation way back when. And you're mostly just, I feel like, crawling around and using like a flamethrower, and then you kind of could shoot grenades. It was pretty shitty. But yeah, I think there's been a few Alien video games. They've mostly been terrible, except for Isolation is really good, but really difficult. Now, Blade Runner did have a video game that was PC only, and it's a little bit more probably like Observer, where it's and there's a name for it. I don't know. It's like a one, multiple choice video game. Like, oh, go through the door, don't go through the door. Go down the street. Pick up the letter, like that kind of garbage. Because I think it was fairly early on. But the amount of Blade Runner stuff, they could do now, especially with 2077, is my huge hope is Cyberpunk 2077 is, it's like a sandbox, almost Blade Runner. But if they did it all Blade Runner style, man, oh man, that would be super awesome. So I know there's a lot of controversy around that video game. That seems manufactured. I don't know if that's to get some hits and all that, and some hubbub about how you choose your character and the sex, and because they had a transvestite or a transsexual on a poster in the video game somewhere. I don't know. I don't really. I've half watched some of those videos. I don't know if people just manufacture controversies now to just get some more hits, but I don't think that game needs any more attention, like at all. It's completely everyone I know is totally down with that game and just waiting for it to come out. It looks really, really amazing, and I think it's a good time for a game like that to come out. The other one I did want to check out, and I believe it's out the end of October, is called, I think it's called Outer Worlds. And this is by one of the guys that worked on Fallout, I believe in the early years. So let me see if I can find that, and I'll give you guys a rundown on this game. And these are just kind of things, the only thing that's probably on my list right now is probably The Outer Worlds and Cyberpunk 2077. And I was kind of interested in the Wolfenstein, but then I heard it's like you're playing his daughters or something, and I don't know. I have to see some gameplay. There might be some gameplay out. There's already leaked, not leaked. There's already, some good gameplay you can look at for 2077 and The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds is an upcoming role-playing game developed by Obsidian Entertainment and published by Private Division. And it's going to be released October 25th of 2019, so right around the corner. Let's see what it has to say about this. So Outer Worlds is a role-playing video game featuring first-person perspective. In the early stages of the game, the player can create their own character and unlock a ship, which is cool, which acts as the game's central hub space. Though the player cannot control their ship, it serves as a fast-forward point to access different areas of the game and the player's inventory. The player can encounter and recruit non-player characters. We all know about NPCs, be careful. And get them to accompany the player. It also has skill specializations. When exploring the player can bring up 2 companions with them, up to 2 companions. They'll stay on the ship. The player can make numerous dialogue decisions. During combat situations, the player can use various weapon types, such as melee firearms, which have 3 ammo types, light, medium, and heavy. These weapons can be customized to add elemental damage. The player can use stealth or social skills to avoid combat altogether. So it sounds like, sounds like Fallout. For instance, the player can use a shrink ray to shrink down an enemy. That sounds pretty cool. The player can also enter a tactical time dilation state, which slows down time and reveals opponents' health statistics, which grants the player tactical advantage. Not bad. Not bad. That's like bullet time, I guess. Yeah, and then I remember all these other games I played, like Sniper Elite, I think it was called, where you bullet time, like these, you would shoot across a city, and it would go in slow motion, and you'd crack some skulls, and then see like the innards and everything fly out. I think that was the one, because there's Sniper Elite, which is Pretty good series. And then there's a third-person one I played, and I feel like it's maybe not Sniper Elite, but that's the one that had. So if you were shooting across the city, and if you hit someone, you knew right away you hit them because your gun would be like crack, and then you would hear, and then the camera would be following the bullet across the city, and you're like, oh, okay, it's a hit, because it doesn't do that if you don't hit the person. And yeah, that was a fun game too. So I probably played a lot of crap. So it's probably good that I get I have like more jobs now, so I probably play less video games, which is probably good. That's good. That's really good, Slick. I'll take that as a big compliment. So Slick is just saying that he doesn't like movies really, or Star Wars. He's not really into games, but he just likes the streams. I think Slick is probably more in. I'm just guessing. Is more in rock and roll, because you just turned me on to that. What is that? Demolition 22, the early Mike Monroe band. So I did find it. I did listen to it, and I did like it. It was like really more shouty, chorusy than I suspected it would be. I guess I thought it maybe would have been. I guess more like Hanoi Rocks maybe, but it was kind of more punky, shouty, chorusy, and I thought it was like really good. So I appreciate that. And then Slick is also, are you, I think you're in a band too. I believe Slick plays guitar. He's in Germany somewhere. And he usually asks questions about clothes, which is fine, because that's, this channel is going to be a lot about that as well as soon as I get up to 1,000 subs. So, spread the word. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you, spread the word. I'm here like every weekday at 2, unless it was last week, because then I don't know what happened. It's got busy. But I'm going to try, because I know consistency is the key to results. Don't forget that. I'm going to make sure that, Max Payne. Oh boy. Yeah, that's like a whole other, I don't remember if I got into Max Payne either. Well, I don't know. See, typically, and a lot of the reason I would not remember most of the stuff is I also then just sell those games back to GameStop. So I don't keep games. I think the games that we have right now is I was trying to play Deus Ex. I don't like it. We got the BioShock 3-pack. Hey gamer, well you missed. Well, I don't know. You missed an hour and 33 minutes of nonsense. I guess we're talking about video games. I'm trying to remember what video games I have right now. I think I turned Mad Max back in. Mad Max was, I don't know, man, it's third person. So like I said, it kind of like lost me. So right now I know I have Fallout 4. I know Skyrim's here. I know BioShock 3-pack is here. I know we like my girlfriend and I play Division, which is pretty cool. We're not even on to Division 2 yet. Like I said, Deus Ex, that I just, I got it because I heard it was like Blade Runner related when I was looking at a list of stuff like that. Oh, I was talking about Witcher earlier, dude. I really, really wanted to get into Witcher, but it's third person, and like I was saying earlier, like with third person stuff, like I end up in the corner, like shooting myself in the knee, and then like getting attacked by the monster, and I'm like, ah, which is why I had so much trouble with like Raccoon City, like way back when, I was playing those games, and it was just, see, someone's going through Raccoon City right now in the other room. I can hear it. Yeah, those. Yeah, third person. I just have trouble. I need to be immersed in the experience. Although I don't think I'll ever do VR stuff, because that's just too weird, I think. Also, I don't want to throw up. Yeah, Demolition 23. I think I said Demolition 22. Sorry. So Demolition 23 is a band. If you guys are into rock stuff, check them out. It's So I think it's the band right before Hanoi Rocks that Mike Monroe and his Nasty Suicide is in that as well. Yeah, so the big thing, like why I was talking about Witcher earlier, is because same developer as the Cyberpunk 2077, which I think is going to be the super hit of the century. Um, and so, when uh, Gamer says, Fallout 4 is his shit, I would think that the Outer Worlds could be your shit, possibly, and then I would think that possibly Cyberpunk 2077 could really be your shit as well. But maybe more the Outer Worlds looks really cool. I just was reading the about that. That's like one of the guys that worked on Fallout way back has another game coming out, and you can see those videos on YouTube somewhere. I don't know exactly where they are. Um, and then Michael Monroe, Century Overdrive, Get the Record. So that's another record. Depending on what kind of music you guys listen to, there's tons of stuff you can check out. You can check out my band here on YouTube. Look up Die Fast, and you're going to see a song called Handsome, and I think a song called Nothing's Wrong. And I don't know, some other stuff is on there, I think. And then actually Mark is on here somewhere. So Mark Weaver is a guy that is another Texan. Is going to come help me work on the intro for this channel. He's going to help me figure out how to add music. So I'll add some of the Die Fast music will be in the new intro for Rattalk. And then maybe try to do a couple different styles of that, the intro. So so this is mostly a fashion channel, but this is all the other stuff I'm into, and so fashion. And it's mostly about the clothes that I make for bands, and then it turned into a job of making clothes for films, which is how I got involved in Alita and all that. But I started making clothes because I was in bands and because I was trying to find like cool pants and I never could. And that's how it all started. So that was like 18 years ago, believe it or not. And it's not something I ever wanted to do or even thought about seriously at all. And then, so it happened. So now we're here. And I'm glad you guys showed up. So the goal is, there's a couple goals with this channel, just so you guys know. I appreciate you hanging out. Basically, I talk about just whatever's going on. The other thing that I want to try to do once I get 1,000 people in here, which I don't know why that would be so hard if all you guys share and everything. Then we could do the tutorials, which is really what I want to do is video tutorials, and that would probably be something I'd like to do on like Sundays or something. Once a week, we talk about something like, hey, I want to make my leather jacket look old or whatever, and I would be like, okay. Let's do this, and that, go get these supplies and whatever. And like next time, hey, I want to screen print some t-shirts, and then I would be like, okay, like this is how you screen print a t-shirt. This is the stuff that you need. You can do it in your house. When I started Junker, I screen printed in my own kitchen without any real like equipment for probably like 4 or 5 years. If you lay the t-shirt down on a table and just stick a screen down and like, bump it against your table, with your thighs and just kind of sandwich it in there and do it, you can do it. You don't need any of that fancy stuff. So, yeah, it can happen. You don't need a bunch of stuff to screen print. And other stuff. Whatever you guys want, I'll do tutorials. And I do like drawing on this channel. You can check out a lot of the drawings that are related to the Hugo Jacket giveaway contest. Now, I decided I'm going to have to end that contest pretty soon. I'm still trying to get a big push from some of these other people on the interwebs here, like been bothering Anna and Odin to do something, and we're all just busy, and that's understandable, but also I don't want people to wait forever. but I have to finish the Exploder drawing. Part of the giveaway is anyone who enters is going to get an Exploder T-shirt. Originally, the goal was to sell 2,000 tickets and fly to where the person was, take all their measurements. If we sell 2,000 tickets, I can still totally do all that stuff. But if we don't sell 2,000 tickets, of course, you're still going to win a jacket. And, of course, everyone else is still going to win something, which is going to be a T-shirt. And we can still do this. Reaching goals is important, and I've been trying to get the word out. And it's just I don't know what else I need to do. Trying to wrap my brain around it, but we'll try to figure that out. And then maybe there'll be some more new news by tomorrow, but I'll be here at 2, and I hope to see you then. Appreciate your time. Have a good day. Come back tomorrow with some questions or some topics, and we can just kind of bounce around. But there will definitely be some stuff I will be talking about then. All right. Take it easy.